So I'm recording, so we'll be able to watch playback a little bit later. But one of the things that you want to make sure you're doing as you are auditioning, you want to make sure that you're looking right off the camera there. So angle your body that way. Yep, exactly. And then what you want to do is, let's say like you're talking to more than one character in the scene, you want to make sure you're going from here to the other side of the camera. So let me see you do that real quick. So you're looking at one side, then the next person is talking, and you look over there, right? And not too far. Make it more like here and here, right off camera. So try that. Yep. Boom. So you see there, up, mid-yawn, right? So what I got here, so you see here, you see how your body is facing the camera? We talked about that earlier.
Yeah.
But then you slightly angle it, which is cool, but you can angle a little bit more. But what you see there is this there.
Nice.
So let's try one more. I'm gonna do one without me in it.
Okay. Hey, it's your girl Epiphany K. Anderson, and we are here at the McKinnon Acting Studio. I'm very excited because we're talking to actor and acting coach Mark McKinnon today. Let's go. This is the art of.
All right, so yeah, these posters up here for inspiration, because what I try to do is help actors see that like right here in this very space, you can make your dreams come true. So these are some of the posters we have up here of some of our students who have gone on to book great things. Okay. So but here's the Wonder Years, one of my top clients, a young girl named Milan Ray. When she first came to my studio, she was 10 years old, and she started, she already had booked the Viola Davis movie. She was the lead character, one of the leads in that movie. But then shortly after, we coached her for this Wonder Years auditions on ABC. It was the reboot of the original Wonder Years, which is great. We have one of my students, Kay Megan Washington. She was a guest star on this show, Our Kind of People, where she played like not the nurse, yeah, she was the maid, one of the maids on the show, the head of the maids. This is a show that I've been on. Also, my student, Terrence Shingler, he's like a brother of mine as well. We've both been on this show, FBI, which is coming out in October, season 7, so check it out. Modern Love, the same girl who booked the Wonder Years, she played a lead role in Modern Love. I think that was season 2 that she did. So tell me, what made you say, you know what, I want to get into like film and TV acting?
Well, I've been acting for a while.
Okay.
And I think I need more tools to really take it to the next level.
Okay.
So I heard about you through your Instagram and about your studio, and I thought this was a great place to start.
Nice. Here's a fun fact. A lot of people don't know that DC is the 3rd biggest theater town in the United States, behind New York and Chicago. So what does that mean? All the acting classes around here are focused on what? The stage, conservatory style. Nothing wrong with that. If you love theater, go there. But no one was really teaching how to act on camera. No one was teaching the business side of how to get on shows on ABC, CBS, NBC, all the streaming networks. So that's where McKinnon Acting Studio comes in at. We come in and say, hey, here's the detailed plan on how to get your career built. Since 2012, we really have changed a lot of careers, whether you just started acting or you was on the theater side and wanted to get into film and TV. Our clients have been series regulars, guest stars, co-stars on so many networks. All these posters you see on the wall, they're not just up here for decoration. We have this up here as inspiration. Students filmed right here in this acting studio. They did their audition tape here and got into these shows. And this is only like a 1/4 of the shows. There's so many more that's out there. So when you come here to say, I want to get on-camera acting, guess what? I'm going to help you. I can't guarantee that you're going to book. That's not up to us. But I can guarantee that I'll get you in the right place to really get your career going. How does that sound to you?
That sounds great. This is also exciting. There's so many shows that I know, All the Queen's Men, Power, NCIS. So how long have you been running the studio here?
Yeah, so 2012. So this month, October, is the 12-year anniversary of our studio.
Wow.
It started with just 4 students, and then it just grew to a point where now we average about 100 actors per month that come through our studio. Wow. And so that's what we do. We try to make sure people not only are comfortable, but you feel like you have a family-like atmosphere here. Because that's my culture that I wanted to create. Because a lot of studios that I went to when I was training and studying in New York, it feels very competitive. It feels very much like who's the best one in the room. But we wanted to create an atmosphere here with our group classes and through my one-on-one coaching that you feel like you have support. Like almost like if you're acting with your cousins or your brother or sister, you want to feel comfortable so you can be yourself. A lot of people think that when you're going into an audition that you need to become what you think you want the filmmaker to have you become. But no, it's all about being who you are when you're around your friends, you're around your family. For example, like when you go to your family cookout or your family reunion, right, there's always that uncle that you know he's gonna be the one to make everybody laugh. That's the aunt that's gonna be bougie, right? That's the cousin that's quiet in the corner, right? So who are you? When you showing up to the family cookout or the family reunion, like, what is your family saying about you?
I'm definitely the one who is the most dramatic,
Okay.
who's causing the scene,
Uh-huh.
who's always waiting on the right opportunity to make a joke. I'm that family member.
Got you, right? And then what about when you're having your ladies' night out, right? When you and your girlfriends, you get together, you're going out, are you like the leader of the pack, you the quiet one, you designated
for
driver,
sure.
like who are you?
I'm the mom friend. I'm the sassy one who keeps everyone in line,
Right.
for sure.
See, that's what your brand is right there. It's not about, oh, let me put on a certain voice or put on a certain type of attitude to make them think what I am. No, it's about showing them who you are when you're around your friends and family. And that's the beginning of branding yourself, is understanding that I want the industry to fall in love with who I am, right? Your brand is a promise. It's consistent. For example, Kevin Hart, right? When you see him no matter what film you see him in, what are you going to get from him? Comedy, right? He's gonna be funny, he's gonna improvise, he's gonna be loud. What about Taraji P. Henson? No matter what she's in. Sassy, right? Attitude, sassy. This is what producers are paying for. They're paying for you to be you. And so when you hide that from them, you're gonna look like everybody else.
True.
They say that 80% of actors audition the same way. So if you've ever been behind the camera, you audition an actor. As people come in over and over and over, what's happening? You're seeing the same thing over and over, because why? They're only doing what's on the script. But I teach that 30% of what you're supposed to do in the audition room is already written in the script. The other 70% is what you bring to it. That doesn't mean you change the line. It just means you're showing who you are, your brand, your promise. You're showing that behind the script. And so that's what we do here, is to help you have a detailed plan on understand your marketing, because that's how you get an agent. It's not your talent. It's about who you are and how would you fit on their roster. Then we help you understand the union, whether it's the non-union work or the unions to build your career. We teach you a strategy and a plan on when you should join and why you should wait. And I show you all the sites that when it comes to finding auditions here locally, but also in bigger markets like New York, LA, Atlanta. We give you all of that right here. There's been so many actors over the years who they've taken classes all over, New York, LA, and then they'll take a class here. And I've heard this several times. They learn more in one session here than they did taking months of classes somewhere else. And so we pride ourselves in that, because I'm an actor myself. I've been on this journey, and I felt stuck in this area. And nothing wrong with the work here, but I felt like, how come I'm not seeing the Law and Order? How come I'm not seeing the Blue Bloods? Like, how do I get there? So when I figured that out, I said, wow, no one was teaching us that in the DMV area.
All right, so we're here with Mark McKinnon, acting coach, actor, founder of the McKinnon Acting Studio. We're here. Thank you for your invitation, and thank you for agreeing to sit down and talk with me.
I'm humbled. Thank you. I'm honored. I'm excited about this. So thank you.
Thank you. So we're here at your studio, which you have just told me is your 12th year anniversary here.
Yeah, absolutely.
How does that feel?
It's amazing. Sometimes I don't feel like it's been 12 years, because when you're doing what you love, it doesn't feel like work or anything. So it's like, when I'm reminded it's been 12 years, you think about back to like all the things that has happened over those years. And I remember before I had the camera and the desk and everything, I remember just having an iPad and teaching people how to act on camera from the iPad to now having a full service studio, and helping so many actors get on camera has been like amazing. It's been a blessing.
Well, I think you have done very well for yourself here. I'm looking at all the posters here, different things that you've been on, different things that your clients have been in. It's amazing, to say the least. All just network TV, which is the goal, you know, for a working actor. So we're talking about acting. I want to transition a little bit to your start. Of course, you're an acting coach now. You're a working actor yourself. So when did you realize acting was your dream? Like, this is what I want to do. This is it for me.
It started early for me. So it started for me in high school. At the time, a friend of mine was auditioning for like the school play, and I was like the big athlete on campus playing football and basketball.
I can see that.
But you know, she asked me to, hey, come sit in on the auditions with me, you know, come support, because back then you could sit in on the audition. So I'm like, why not? And at that time, I was taking like an acting elective, because I wanted that easy A in school. So that's why I was taking the class, just because. But anyway, I'm sitting in the audition, you know, just kind of supporting my friend. Next thing you know it, the drama teacher, she looks over at me and she's like, Mark, you should audition. I'm like, nah, I don't, you know, I do sports, I don't do this. And she's like, no, you should do it. Like, we could really use you. So I did it knowing I wasn't going to be good, and I ended up booking the lead role in it. So my first ever audition was for a school play called Little Woman, and I booked the lead role. But what made me say, you know what, this is something I want to do, what I realized at that time, it wasn't many black people that were doing the plays at my school, and especially men. Like, it wasn't many of us doing it either. So, of course, when I started doing the shows, or some of my teammates would come laugh at me, oh, look at Mark up there doing this thing. But that next year, so many of us came out to audition. So many people say, you know what, I want to get into acting now. When I saw that social change, I said, wow, like, there's something I want to go deeper in. So that's when I decided to go to Howard University. I turned down some scholarships to go to Howard because a lot of the football programs that made me offers, a lot of them didn't have like contemporary acting programs. A lot of it was classical. And I knew that wasn't the direction I wanted to go. Like I love Shakespeare, I love classical theater and classical acting, but I knew that wasn't the vision for my career. But Howard had that. They had a little bit of both. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to go there. And I was like, I'm going to try to walk onto the football team, which I did. I got onto the team. But what happens when you have a bad practice? The coach says, we need you to come back. And that happened one time. I had like a 5 a.m. practice. That didn't go too well. And then he told the team to come back. But I had a rehearsal that night, and it clashed. And that's when I realized I had to make a decision, like, which route do I want to go? So I hung up my football cleats, and I said, you know what? I'm going to focus on acting and build from there.
And look where it has got you. I say that was a great choice. You know, football, it would have been nice, but it seems like you really have just found your place.
Absolutely.
In acting, and it feels right.
And that's why the dream role, if I can get on a show that's where I can play football and act at the same time, there it is. You can do the best of both worlds.
Something like, well, that's they're a little young, but like All American, something
All
like
American,
that would be a dream
Friday
for you.
Night Lights, HBO Ballers, like shows like that. I can retire acting after I do that. I'm good.
I can die happy man.
Yeah, exactly.
This was it for me. I get it. Okay. All right, cool. So I want to talk about a few of your roles. Okay. Let's start with most recent. I know you had a recurring role, a guest star role on Mayor Kingston.
Yes.
Tell me about your experience with that.
Oh man, that was an amazing experience. We were filming in Pittsburgh.
Nice. So that was close.
It was super close. It started off with me just booking one episode on the show, and then they just kept writing me in. So when season 3 got picked up and renewed, they wrote me into 5 episodes that season. So literally, was in Pittsburgh was like a second home for quite a few months, and it was just great. And it was like a family-like atmosphere, what I love. Because when you're on set that much with the same people over and over, we all know each other. But to get to work with somebody like Jeremy Renner, you know, he was Hawkeye on the Marvel series.
I love Jeremy Renner.
To get to work with him and just build a brotherhood with some of the other actors I was working with, it's almost like you're taking like a master class every single day because you're working with high-level actors who do this on a great level, and like just learning. So that was really good. It actually was the 4th most streamed show when it was out for that season. And we had close to 400 million people who watched it.
That was an amazing show. I watched season 1. I kind of fell off a little bit, but that was dope. That first episode, episode started off so strong with his brother.
Yeah, right away. They get you right away.
So I'm like, what is this show? And I'm about to binge it. Yeah, like we're locked in. We're locked in.
Exactly.
So I want to touch a little bit more. You talked about some of the roles that you're being. Actually, let me ask, what is that your favorite role so far? Because I've seen a few of the other things that you've been in, The Waiting Room, The Available Wives, Survival of the Thickest. What's been your favorite role so far?
I would. It's a tie between both. It's between The Waiting Room. That one was directed by Cheryl Lee Ralph.
I saw.
The reason why that one is one of my favorites is because of the emotional journey that my character had to go on. It was like, as an actor, you take acting classes, you go to your acting coach for those type of situations and those type of characters and roles. And so to be able to really show my range and to show what I can do as an actor, like, you know, especially that final scene where I had this monologue where I had to get very emotional, like it felt really good to do that. But then the reason why Mayor Kingstown was also one of my favorites is because, you know, I love doing mercenary type of roles. I love those type of things when you get the action, you get to go run around with a gun and shoot, you know, like those old movies I love watching. So to be able to do that on such a high level, you know, those were my favorite too.
So I know you mentioned those type of mercenary roles. I was looking at your IMDb, and I'm like, okay, I'm kind of seeing what the few you kind of get, like SWAT, cops, so I can see that for you. So I want to kind of pivot from there to talk about brand identity. So what do you feel like is your brand identity, and how do you feel like you got to that point?
Absolutely. I try to tell a lot of my students, like, you got to use what you got to get what you want. A lot of people think that you're going to be stuck doing a certain type when you first get into the industry. But what I learned through my own career and through some of the actors I help over the years, you know, when you use how you look, your look plays in everything in TV, right? For example, you ever seen bad acting on TV? All the time. But how did that person get the role? He looks like the guy from the police force. You know, she looks like the cheerleader. He looks like the gang member. Like, you're getting roles based on your look. And that's why sometimes you'll see bad acting, because that person could get the role strictly off of how they look. You know, so for me, you know, a lot of people thought when I first started acting, especially around here, most of my jobs were like military industrials, the police force type of roles. And so by the time I got to New York, that's what was working for me, and I didn't realize what I was doing at the time. It just was that's what I was booking. So because of that, more and more jobs came in that kind of what you said, like the law enforcement type, lawyer type. I got a lot of those athletes. But what happens is when you start booking a certain amount of credits on network TV, now your agent is less about type and more about what you bring to roles. So now, for example, I had an audition recently where I'm playing a Russian spy, but that Russian spy just so happened to be an ex-college football player that now became a spy. So you see how like your brand still is there, but now it's not about playing football. It's about just the backstory of that person. And so that's something that I try to help people see is you're always going to be yourself, who you are, your brand, your promise. But as your career grows, it's more about who you are and less about, okay, are you the lawyer, are you a doctor? It's about what you bring to the roles.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've been having conversations with my friends and fellow acting friends about establishing my own, trying to really identify what my personal brand is. Because of course, I'm getting these different roles, but I don't know what feels most like me, what I really want to portray. So I've been thinking more and more about that. Do you feel like there's any specific questions I need to ask myself to help me kind of zero in on that?
Absolutely. I always like to ask the question, like, if you was to book a series regular role, like what would that be? And the reason I ask that, a lot of people don't know, if you book a series regular, you have to commit to that role for 7 years. We had 2 of our students who got offered series regulars and their contract set for 7 years because the network want to know that they can keep writing you in. Not like you doing this now, you want to quit and go somewhere else.
Right.
They got you locked in for 7 years, and that's why you don't see a lot of actors who are doing like recurring roles as far as series regulars. You don't see them in many other things during that time because think about it, you're filming 6 to 9 months out the year, you're on set 4 or 5 days a week, 12 to 15-hour days. You don't have time for anything else, right? And so what I say is think about what role you would not mind doing for 7 years, that type of jargon, that type of storyline, think about that. Because for me, I wouldn't want a doctor role for 7 years. All that medical jargon you got to know, you got to know how to say it like that, and it's like 20 syllables in there. Like that's not something I want to do for 7 years, but I would do like a Friday Night Lights, or I do an HBO ball. I'll do that for 7 years, so that's what I always say first is ask yourself if you could wake up every single day for the next 7 years and do this one type of role, that's where you start. Secondly, you have to look at your headshots and say, okay, is my headshot showing me as the type that I want to play, right? What makes a good headshot is not just how good we look, right? It's about when I see your shot, I know exactly where I put you in the film. Because you can't say you want to be a lawyer type and you're wearing a T-shirt in your headshot, or you want to be this edgy street guy, but you got a shirt and tie on. You know what I'm saying? Like you got to make sure your headshots are looking like the type of roles that you need to have. So you want to have a good 3 to 4 different headshots. So based on like what you're trying to market, when somebody sees this headshot, you already are like beating them to the punch on this is where I fit in your film.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
So say, okay, and this actor, we're both actors. We're in this social media age. How do you market yourself on social media?
That's a really good question. I try to put more of what I do with my family and what I do outside of acting with the sprinkle of acting, right? They say you should, every 6 to 9 posts, you should show something of yourself doing acting, right? Because when people are going to look at your page, they're not just going there to see, okay, you did this show, you did this movie, you did this. They're going to see, like, who are you? What are you involved in? Who's your circle? Like, what do you do when you're not acting? Because your personality and what you do is making those people with the money who's trying to get actors on their show, they're looking at that. They don't want to tarnish their brand. And that's why you see, unfortunately, and it's a conversation I don't like to have, but at the same time, it's like an ugly truth. That's why you'll see so many actors who are not able, they might book a lot of projects that we make for ourselves and that we create, but it's hard for them to get on certain shows like Law & Order or like a CBS show because they're looking at their page and saying, do we want that brand represented on our network? And it's a real thing, no one's talking about that, but these are things that you got to look at. Look at like Michael B. Jordan, for example, right? If you look at the roles he's done before we knew who he was, right? Everything was very clean, like very smooth, and then now he's on all types of projects. They can trust his brand because he's not doing anything that's going to tarnish the network.
That makes sense. That makes sense. So people need to watch
mindful.
what they put on social media, what you represent. Of course, this is your personal page, but you are a brand. You are a business.
Absolutely.
So I think, people have to trust you with the image of the character because unfortunately, of course, you're playing a character, but it's a person. It's one person.
And one thing we learned at Howard is not show business, it's business show. You got to take care of the business so that way the show can run. So when you really take care of your marketing, you take care of your strategy, the show will come, the right people will come. So that way when people are meeting you at networking event, your business is so strong, do you have a website? When people go to your page, how can they find your reel? How can they find your contact information? Who's your representation? Like that has to be easy to find. It shouldn't take a whole lot of research to be able to contact you, to be able to get you on a project.
That makes sense. All right. So let's talk about a little bit more. Okay, we were talking about before we sat down about this not this industry but this area and about being SAG and non-union. So I know you are a SAG actor.
Yes.
So what was your process of becoming SAG?
For me, I exhausted the Taft-Hartley rule. I made sure I did 3 union projects before I joined. So one started off with doing an industrial. It was like a military industrial here with SAG. That counted. Then I booked Blue Bloods, 7 seasons on that. And then I also booked Gotham. So once I booked Gotham, I became a must join. So what happened was I ended up booking the Blacklist right after that. The union's calling me like, hey, you need to join if you're going to take this job. And I'm like, what? And so I had to make a decision. I had to pay that initiation fee to be able to join because they will move on from you. If you can't pay that initiation fee, if you're a must join, they will literally recast you. And so you cannot do that 4th union project if you are a must join. And so that's something I had to make a decision on. So that's why in 2016, I became a member. Because in order for me to do a Blacklist, like I had to join the union at this point.
So I would say to any new actors, why do you feel like it's beneficial to join SAG? What has it done for you personally?
Well, for me, you're protected in so many ways. When you're doing a union project, there's rules that producer and that filmmaker has to abide by. That's why the union is there to say, here are the guidelines you have to follow so we can make sure that everyone is protected and treated fairly. Another thing I like about the union is whatever your day rate is, that covers you for 8 hours. You get time and a half after that, and then you get double pay after 12 hours. Where if it's a non-union film, we're saying we're paying you $500, you can be on set 16 hours, on set 2 hours. That's all you're gonna get. But the union makes sure that, again, that you're treated fairly and that you're protected. Also, the union has all the health benefits. They have credit unions, they have discounts, all types of things that help you as an artist live and survive, retirement accounts. And so this is why you see actors who are full-time actors, this is how they're able to have those benefits as they grow older because the union have those things in place. So those are the amazing things about the union or why you want to be a part of it. But at the same time, I tell people, don't rush it. I say joining the union too early is like being in the right relationship at the wrong time, right? Because I've had this happen before where somebody will book one union job and then they join the union. But now that one job they booked, there was like a 1 or 2 line role. And now they're a union member. Now you can't do the incredible non-union films who will give you like a nice leading role or something to show your acting chops. But now you're the union waiting to get on a major show, but you can't do that non-union film around the corner because you're a union actor now. So that's why I tell people, don't rush it. Take your time. There's a lot of good, high-paying non-union jobs and a lot of non-union work that you can use to your advantage to build your acting reel. So I say these are 3 things you need to have in place in order for you to join a union. Number 1, exhaust the Taft-Hartley rule. If you can work both, union and non-union, why not do both until you have to join, right? Secondly, you should already have an agent or a manager in a bigger market like New York, LA, or Atlanta, because that's where most of the projects are being cast out of. There's union work in our local area, but the thing is only but so much. And a lot of times they're casting the lead roles and the major supporting roles from where? New York, LA, or Atlanta, right? Lastly, you want to already have a 2 to 3 minute acting reel that shows your range, that shows you what you can do. Because when you have that in place, joining the union is not an issue. You got a reel to showcase you. You got an agent and manager pushing you already, and then you have you have projects that you did that were union. So that's when I say that's when it's not a problem with you joining. Either way, it's still going to be a journey, but at least you have everything under your belt being a union actor. That's okay that you're not doing non-union work anymore.
Okay, that definitely makes sense. Okay, we talked a little bit more. I wanted to ask you about your dream role. You answered that for me. I want to talk a little bit about mine. Somebody asked me this the other day.
Okay.
So I would love to do, I love action and I love comedy. I haven't done a lot of comedy, but
Okay.
something where it was like, something where it could be like a lot of butt kicking, but a little bit of comedic relief. So maybe like Beverly Hills Cop or Bad Boys.
I see that.
Or
I
some
see that.
female-led bad girls. Something like that I would love.
Because we have so many back-to-back sessions, we try to give people a comfortable waiting area so that way they can have a nice minute, keep their breath fresh. That's important. You want to be another actor's face and your breath kicking. You make sure.
Yeah, that wouldn't be too
That's
good.
why I had that here. I had a bad experience with that too. Speaking of bad experiences, should we do that in the inside?
We can do it.
Okay. Speaking of bad experiences, I remember this was my non-union days. I had booked this industrial, with this industrial here. And the breakdown said that like, okay, we're gonna pay you like $500 a day for this session, and then we're gonna buy you out for like $1,000. And then you're gonna get a usage rights fee for like another $500. So I'm like, all right, cool, you do the math, supposed to make, I can't remember, it's been a while, but you making that amount, right? And that was supposed to buy you out for 2 years. But when I booked the job, the paperwork said, we'll buy you out for 4 years. I said, okay, right? So long story short, I remember I asked the casting director, like, hey, like, this paperwork is saying this, but does this mean I get a little bit more? And they was like, yeah, it means you're gonna get more, all this. And I see they added extra filming day too, so doesn't this mean this? And they're like, yes. So I go film the project, everything goes good. And this company normally takes about 90 days to pay you, right? Because as a non-union actor, you're a 1099 contractor, so right. The client has 30 days to pay the production has 30 days to pay the agent, and the agent has 30, so that's why sometimes it could take 90 days for non-union, right? But anyway, I get my check in the 90 days. The check is like $700 short. So I'm like emailing the casting director like, hey, like, I know I'm supposed to get this, but the check only came in for this. Is there a reason? No one responded to me. So like a week went by, I wrote them again. Nobody responded. So I said, well, let me just go to the call sheet and actually write the production itself. Write the production like, hey, I'm just confused because I thought I was supposed to get paid this. No one's responding. This is like $700 missing from my check. Like, what's going on? And then it was like, oh, we'll look into it. We'll see what's going on. They end up, I guess, contacting the casting director who cast me on the project. That casting director emailed me the next day, oh, Mark, that's so unprofessional for you to go and, reach out to the client directly. Like, after the relationship, we booked so many years of work together. Like, why would you do this to us? I was like, I did email y'all. No one responded back to me. Exactly. Like I'm waiting for you to write back. And so I was like, well, can you explain why I missed $700? And they never responded back. So like, I waited a week. I wrote them back again. Like, hey, any answer? Nothing. So I wrote the client again. So now the owner of that casting company is calling me like, Mark, like, I don't understand. Like, I thought we had such a good working relationship. Like, why didn't you just write me directly? You know me and all that. I said, you're CC'd on like all the emails. Like, you have been included. I just need somebody to explain why I'm missing $700. Like, this just
it's a simple answer.
And if you can explain it to me, I understand. And then like, she was like, I don't know, let me talk to the other guy. And I was like, all right, cool. Basically the other casting director. So then he writes me back, Mark, sometimes the industry things just goes like this. You just gotta go with the flow and understand and just trust us that we know what we're doing. I'm like, that's not explaining why I'm missing $700, from this check. And so then that's when I reached out to the owner of the company one more time. I was like, I just need somebody just to tell me, like, just that's all. And so she said, don't worry, we'll take care of it. So they ended up sending me the whole check, but the fact that like, it took all of that for me to get the rest of my money, which is wild. But then they like blacklisted me on their roster. It's like they stopped sending me out there. I'm like, that wasn't even my fault. All I did was respect. Ain't like I called y'all, cursed y'all out. I didn't put y'all on blast or anything like that. I'm just literally trying to get information.
Communication is key.
It is key.
You know what I mean?
But that's one thing I always try to tell actors, you have to stand up for yourself, but you want to do it in a respectable manner so that way no one can ever come back and say, well, you did this, this, and this. I felt like I handled it the right way, in a professional way, but yet not just take it. Because some actors go, well, I don't want to burn a bridge, so I'll just take this L. Like, that's $700. Like, you know what I'm saying? Even if it was $10, I still would have did the same thing.
And you were old and you worked for it.
I worked for it, and it was on paper. I had all the proof, and at the end of the day, I did communicate with you all as much as I possibly could. So that was just an interesting story that to this day I always remember, because it's like, it's a pet peeve of mine when somebody does something wrong, but then they make you pay for it, and I'm like, I didn't do anything, and now I gotta punish you. So one quick rule that I always give people when they're auditioning for on-camera job, right? Never have your chair and yourself face the camera and then you look over at the reader. Angle yourself to the reader. So let me pull up this chair here. So go ahead and turn to me there, right? That's stronger look on camera than it is when you're just facing the camera this way, but then you're looking at the reader there, right? It's like this. When you're watching TV, you don't see them standing towards the camera, right? You see them on an angle. So if you see yourself here on the screen, you see how you slight bit profile. A lot of people don't know too, when you're auditioning, you should not look at the camera. You want to connect with your reader here.
So I need to have that point on the eye with you.
Absolutely. So if we're having our conversations just like this camera's just watching us. Now, you don't want to have your eyes looking too far over there, because if you look too far over there, what's going to happen? the camera's gonna see the side of your face. We don't wanna see the side of your face. We wanna see you looking right off camera there. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're looking at me over here, right, you keep following me, now we're seeing the side of your face. And I've seen people send audition tapes like that where this is what you see. Or I've seen films like that where you're watching somebody on film, you're seeing the side of people's face. But the most important thing in acting on camera is what? The eyes.
Yeah.
Right? Because the eyes, what they do, they tell us what you're thinking, it shows us what you're feeling, it shows us what's in your heart. So that's why you can go to a friend, you can ask them, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? And they smile in your face, oh, everything is fine. But you're looking them in the eye and you're like, you know, like what's really going on? Because whatever you thinking, we see. So that's why it's very important that when someone's shooting a film, that they make sure that the camera is seeing the eyes. It's not just about the attitude and the action behind it. It's what is that actor thinking? What are they feeling? What are they saying behind the lines? Even when you're not speaking, what is going on in your brain? What is happening there? We see that through what? The eyes. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Awesome. So yeah, this is just a very quick version of just kind of what I try to help people do to get themselves ready. Now, the last thing I'll teach you today is your self-tape setup at home, right? Because you may not always be able to come to a studio like this, have the great quality camera.
Okay.
What if you're filming at home?
What do I need?
All right? You want to make sure you have a blank wall behind you, right?
Okay.
We don't want to see your living room, your kitchen, paintings on the wall, anything like that. You want to make sure you have a blank wall behind you. Now, something else that you can do is you can order like a blue screen or a gray screen backdrop. You can get that on Amazon, and you can pop that up in your house, fold it right back down, because the whole point is we want the audition to be about you. Anything that distracts us from focusing on you, see how we see this now? Blank wall behind you. No matter what scene you're doing, we're able to what? Focus on you.
Okay. Who would be your co-lead in that dream role you're manifesting?
Yeah, so
You said Mari Hardwick.
Yeah, Mari Hardwick.
Who else? Do you have some female leads? Who would you like to work with? Some female actresses.
Surprisingly, and this is only because she's one of my childhood favorites, Raven Simone. I think Raven Simone is like pretty
People
dope.
sleep on Raven Simone. Raven Simone is still attached, of course, of the persona,
Right.
you know, gets
It's
things
different,
swayed.
right.
But she is a strong actress.
Strong actor. I think she's amazing at what she does. I mean, she's inspired so many people when we were younger. Like,
for
you know,
sure.
to say. But her, I would love to work with Megan Good. I almost had the chance to work with her on Harlem, but then not worked out because I was filming Mayor of Kingstown. But I was almost about to work with her. But she would be great to work with. But other actors like Angela Bassett, a legend. Like, she's somebody who's incredible. I love her intensity, but yet her vulnerability at the same time. Viola Davis.
That I would say probably Viola Davis is like my top two.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are just some of the actors like right away that I'm like, yo, if I can be on set and just sit next to them and just get to know them, you know, that would be like a dream come true. You know, because you see what they've done, but you also can, when you listen to their interviews and stuff, you can tell that their mindset is to really help artists in general. Not just like, oh, this is what I do, I'm going home. It's like you can tell they want to help us, you know, so that's what I love about those type of actors.
This is The Art of